Hi everyone, thanks for watching my ethical violations video. When looking at Pennsylvania, the most common reason for board discipline among counselors was dual relationships that involved sexual misconduct. The second was the inability to provide competent services, and this was usually related to substance abuse issues. Another common reason was the breach of confidentiality or lack of informed consent. Initially, I was very surprised to see some of the cases that were posted on the Pennsylvania board website. One in particularly said that there was a counselor who slapped and choked a client in session. I was not expecting to see something like that. It also surprised me that the fourth most common reason was counselors being convicted of felony charges. A theme that I also saw in many cases was that counselors voluntarily suspended their license or surrendered their license, and there were only a few cases where the licenses were suspended indefinitely. So I thought that was interesting. A recent case I decided to look at was a counselor who provided services to 3 children. They were siblings, and they lacked to get informed consent from the parent, and these sessions took place over the course of a year. They also failed to provide access to records when requested by the father, and also entered a dual relationship with a separate client. The ACA Code A2A states that counselors have an obligation to review in writing and verbally the rights of the clients in terms of informed consent. Specifically, the code A to D talks about how parents have the right and responsibility to be given the informed consent information when their child is the client. Also, ACA Code 45D prohibits counselors from entering dual relationships, such as with friends or family, where they may not be able to have the ability to remain objective throughout the process. When looking at the Pennsylvania Code, it was pretty similar. The section 49.72b parallels the regulations around informed consent as the ACA Code. The section 49.73b states that counselors may not take on or continue professional relationships with a client when the objectivity or competency of the counselor is or could be expected to be impaired. The outcome of this specific case, the counselor's license was suspended for 3 years. They were given a $4,000 fine, and they also had to complete 45 hours of remedial education during the time of their suspension. In terms of counselor impairment, in the ACA Code of Ethics, section C2G, it states that counselors need to monitor their own physical, mental, and emotional health and refrain from providing services when impaired. They also need to seek assistance, limit, suspend, or terminate services until they feel as though they can do that safely. They also should assist colleagues and supervisors that are showing impairment and intervene when necessary. The Pennsylvania Code, section 47.75, states that counselors cannot continue services if impaired due to mental, emotional, physiological, pharmacological, or substance abuse conditions. So that was a little bit different. They included more than the ACA Code. And it also stated that counselors should terminate services when they are impaired. They should notify the patient and also help them obtain professional services from another professional counselor. One question that came to mind was, what makes the state board decide if they can voluntarily suspend or surrender their license, or when it's revoked and they don't have a choice? Like I stated earlier, most of the cases seemed like the counselors themselves surrendered their license instead of having it taken from them. So that would be interesting to find out. Thank you.